Hello, everybody. It's Brian here, and today I'm going to soldier on with letter B from Jakob's alphabet thread or alphabet challenge. I can't remember what he called it, and I'm a bit behind because I just did A, whereas MGK Boston has already done H. So I've got some catching up to do, and well, let's get going. Was there anything else I was going to say about that? No, just that I'm behind. Oh yes, I'm going to. I'm only going to show CDs today, as I did with A. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with only CDs, but I thought why not? And I have also chosen things which are a little off the beaten path. I mean, there are two really big names in here that I'm sure you will know, but I think by and large the CDs are a little, maybe a little unknown. Let's just say that. So, the first one is from a guy called Beck. And this is Stereopathetic Soul Manure from 1994, which was his second record. Now, I'm curious who knows this record because it really didn't get, as I understand, a lot of support from the record label, and it seems to be like an anti-commercial thing, or maybe a commercial suicide thing. Here's the back. Here's the inside. In fact, this wasn't even added to streaming services until, I think, 2003. It took 29 years before it was added to. Wait, did I get that? Did I calculate that wrong? Anyway, 29 years from 2004 before it was added to streaming services, so I counted that wrong. So that's interesting when you think about it. Like, it took that long. And I think the reason is that it's a very weird record. It is definitely lo-fi. It sounds like home recordings. There's a lot of noise in here. There's a lot of sound collage. It has like a kind of a punk feel to it in places. And yet, having said that, there are periods or moments on the CD that sound really, has that country folky sound. So that is there. But it is a very strange record. Let me just say that. It's very, very strange and difficult to listen to. When I first heard it, I wasn't sure that I actually liked it or not. Because it's kind of a wild ride through these really difficult to listen to passages that are really abrasive. And then those sort of more pleasant, folky sounds that he has that sound a lot like Beck. Yeah, and musicians credited on here are very strange because they'll just mention like Dallas on drummification or Ken on guest vocals. I don't know who these people are, but Anna's on bass, Rachel's on drums. So anyway, 1994, and he has songs like Pink Noise, brackets Rock Me Amadeus. There's things like Waiting for a Train, Crystal Clear, Beer, No Money, No Honey, Aphid Manure Heist, Total Soul Future. Rollins Power Sauce. We have got Jägermeister Pie, Ozzy, Satan Gave Me a Taco, Taser Gun, Modesto. So very strange. I mean, I guess it maybe is. Just tell me if you know this record. I'd be curious of what you think about it, if you like it or not, because I'm not sure that I like it. I'm not sure I ever have liked it, but I bought it because it's Beck. So very interesting. Now for Canadian act here, I picked somebody or an artist called Building Castles Out of Matchsticks, and that is the brainchild of someone called Anne Sulikowski. Here is the insert for it, just on someone's inkjet printer. This is called It's Raining in My Bedroom, and here is the insert that went in the back. In fact, I put it in this old CD-ROM sleeve because I had nothing to put it into, and you'll see the CD is just white. And here's something funny about it. I said it was printed on someone's laser printer, but in fact, if you try to line these up, you'll note that they're different sizes and they're not even straight. Like the edges aren't straight. So, Anne Sulikowski is from Hamilton, which is just around the corner from Toronto. Some people describe it as Toronto's Brooklyn, which I think is a little weird. I mean, it's almost an hour. It's like an hour's drive at the best of times to get there, sometimes longer. She began her music career in the year 2000. This particular one came out in 2005. And Hamilton, Ontario is an industrial town. So from certain directions when you come into town, it will seem really strange to you. From the north, it looks fun. You go down the escarpment and it looks okay. But if you come in from the Toronto side, it looks sort of post-apocalyptic. There are giant steel factories with smokestacks and equipment, and it looks awful. And in fact, it's heavily polluted. The water around there is really heavily polluted. So it is a steel producing area, sometimes called the Hammer. That's enough about Hamilton, probably. Oh, I will say, though, that there was a big flow of people from Toronto moving to Hamilton because housing prices were cheaper, starting, maybe even 10 or 15 years ago that started to happen. It still goes on. I know lots of people who have moved there and looking for cheaper housing. So she calls herself an ambient scientist and a composer. And her music is kind of like electronic left field, ambient, kind of with noise as well. So she uses guitars and pedals and synths to create these soundscapes. But they're not always, that would suggest that they're long, but these tracks aren't actually long. That's the kind of feel you get from them, with a bit of noise put in, but also pleasing guitar sounds. That's one. Just quickly, I'll show you another couple here. So we have... Oh, Didn't She Ramble? There's the back, just in a card again with a plain CD. And I actually couldn't find any listing for this band or her in Wikipedia or on AllMusic, although her CDs are listed in Discogs. The Secret Doctrine, there's the back, and again, plain white CD in a plain envelope. So very interesting music. Yeah, if you're interested, there are a few tracks on YouTube that you might want to check out, because I think they're actually really interesting, but really kind of uncommercial when you think about it. Now, another Canadian sort of artist, we have Martin Bennett. This is called Bothy Culture. He was born in Newfoundland and then relocated to Scotland. I'm not sure exactly when that happened. He may have gone with his family. So he has Scottish heritage. This is a second full-length record of what you would call Scottish Celtic fusion. How's that for a description? Oh, just as you know, it's funny. I was thinking about CDs as I was showing them the other day, and you notice how this has got the name so you can read it as opposed to being upside down. I always was very finicky about putting my CDs away so that you could read it when you took it out. That's weird, right? Little OCD maybe. Anyway, he died tragically at the age of 33. It may have been cancer. I kind of lost track of what it was. May have been cancer, and he died tragically young at 33, which is really sad. He was a bagpiper, a violinist, a producer, and a composer. So he plays all the instruments on this CD. He plays everything here. And I said Scottish Celtic fusion, which is probably a pretty good description. But if you think about it, it's kind of like traditional Celtic melodies, like with the bagpipes and the fiddle, but with trip hop or maybe a techno thing. Now that sounds really weird. I'm not into techno at all, but I can see where that description is going, because there's a lot of danceable drum loops and things like that, and samples and electronica on top of violin and things like bagpipe, which I think is really interesting. So I'm going to recommend, if you want to know what this sounds like, to check out the first track called Tongues of Kali, K-A-L-I. I find it quite interesting. It's this long track. It starts slowly. It sort of feels, I think it's really interesting. If you like that, you might like the rest of his stuff. Some things came out after he passed away as well. Now this CD, which I'm going to show you what it's called, because I'm never going to be able to pronounce it. Here's the back. And it's by a person called Eva Betova, and the album name is, I don't know how to pronounce that. She's from the Czech Republic, and this came out in 1994. She's an avant-garde violinist. She's also a singer, a composer, and even an actor, so she does all those things. Now interestingly, she sings while she plays the violin, and when I say singing, when she sings, that's kind of odd, because yes, she does sing in a traditional fashion, but at other times she mismakes noises like deep throat noises, or chirping, or cackling noises. And I don't know if anything is sung in English. I'm not really sure, but here we have the insert, which is all in Czech, and there's just photography and credits, and there she is on the back. So she sometimes plucks the strings on her violin as well, and you know, when I have seen videos of her on YouTube performing, and I immediately thought of Laurie Anderson, partly because of the violin, but also because there's certain things happening on the stage that seem unrelated to the music. So there's sometimes, I wouldn't even call it multimedia, but things happening on the stage. So it's kind of interesting, and I've actually really liked her. Some people describe this as a part in the classical genre. I'm not sure I would put it as classical. I think avant-garde is probably art. Maybe art piece is more descriptive, maybe. And here's the CD inside. So I think it's really interesting. I only have one thing from her, but pretty good stuff. And then finally, a kind of a big name in the world of music. This is Frank Black Francis. Choose your name. If you know the Frank Black years or the Black Francis years, or both, of course, from the Pixies. This is a double CD set. It has some liner notes here from Frank. And do I show you one of these? It's just not very interesting discs. There is an essay in here, a brief statement from him. So what this is a double CD released in 2004 of music that was released to coincide with the Pixies reunion. So the first disc, the 15 tracks here on this side, are early demos that he made on a cassette tape recorder with his guitar so that the producer would know what he was getting at when the Pixies made their first recordings in 1987. So there was this idea, he was asked if he would put these out, and he says here in the description that he thought that Uber fans might be happy about it, but he thought that maybe other people would feel ripped off because they're lo-fi home demo recordings, and he thought maybe they wouldn't appreciate that. He talks about the fact that his father gave him $1,000 to pay for recording sessions, which is interesting. But when they decided to put this out, it was suggested to him that he re-record some Pixies tracks. So disc 2 are re-recorded Pixies tracks. Some are the same, like Caribou's on both, but they're different, obviously, and some of them are completely different. So in this first, the demo tape, we have The Holiday Song, etc., Caribou, Nimrod's Son. The second one has, Caribou, Where's My Mind, Cactus, Nimrod's Song, Wave of Mutilation, Monkey Gone to Heaven, Deloria, Holiday Song. So more Planet of Sound is on here as well. And they don't sound like the Pixies. These tracks sound like Frank Black. And he has a couple people joining him. Andy Diagram and Keith Moline from the band called, what are they called? I just read it. I can't find it now because I'd never heard of them before. Anyway, Two Pale Boys. There we go. So it does not sound like the Pixies, but it's kind of interesting. And if you're a Pixies Black Francis fan, Frank Black's fan, you might find this interesting. Although it obviously focuses on the Pixies years. So that's weird. And again, I haven't seen this, but I don't even know if there's a vinyl version of this. I haven't seen it, but kind of interesting. So thanks once again for watching, and I don't know what the next video is, but I'll see you in the next one.